So another thing to pay attention to is our separator grates. Now what we see here is our standard separator grate. We've also got an HD option that I'll talk about in a minute, but most importantly, knowing where these spacers are at and setting them accordingly. Especially in corn, we want these spacers installed, which is like this grate is here, where the spacer actually drops that separator grate down and makes that gap bigger in the separator section of our rotor. That's gonna help keep our cobs intact. If we're getting cob tips or anything in our grain tank, usually that's an early sign that this has been overlooked. Now, in our area, some guys do switch them back for soybeans, but in my experience, you can kind of go either way. If you're getting good performance, getting good separating in your soybeans, you can probably leave these installed and be just fine. Now, whether it's the standard separator grate here, which is, I believe it's 19 sections. There's also an HD separator grate, and that's gonna be 13 sections. So it's gonna have a lot longer finger, but overall much more gap in the separator cage area. More gap, more material through. So the trade-off being it's gonna let more grain through, but it also may let more material other than grain through. So really dry conditions, maybe not high yields, or if you're not running into rotor loss as an issue, maybe not something you need to worry about too much. But if rotor loss tends to be your limiting factor, high yielding corn and especially high moisture corn, that's where we've seen a performance benefit to the HD separator grates, letting a lot more material through down to the cleaning shoe to be cleaned later on. Now, regardless if you're running the standard separator grate as shown here or the HDs, there are also covers you can install in each bay. So you can use that either to reduce material other than grain getting to the cleaning shoe, or you can use it to help balance the load left to right through your combine. If you're seeing left side heavy or right side heavy or edge heavy, you can start installing section by section to try to balance that out and keep material flow consistent going through the combine. That'll help you get a little bit cleaner samples and better performance that way. And we'll talk about that more when we get further on in the cleaning shoe. But covers are available regardless of which you choose. And also these spacers, you can either have them installed or pulled out like this one here with either separator grate. Now, this is an S760. So on an S760, I can put these spacers in on all 4 sections. If I'm running a 780 or a 790 or something with a rethresher, I've got to leave this one alone. And that's because that rethresher will return and bring material back about in this area, just below this area, and there's just not the geometry there to be able to drop that down. So first 3, drop those down. On a 770 or 760, you might be able to do this one too. Just remember, if you have a rethresher, don't do that.